Welcome, everyone. Today, we're diving into one of the most essential life skills, stress management. Whether you're juggling school, work, or personal challenges, this session is all about learning how to recognize stress and respond in a way that protects your mental and physical well-being. Let's begin with the basics. Stress management is the ability to recognize when stress is rising and knowing how to respond. It's not about eliminating stress completely, because that's just not realistic. Instead, it's about building awareness, understanding what's happening in your body and mind, and learning healthy ways to cope. When we respond to stress with intention, we regain control and protect our self-well-being. Now, why is stress management important? Because it shows up in every part of our lives. When stress isn't managed well, it can lead to burnout, anxiety, irritability, or even physical illness. But when you know how to manage it, you start seeing changes. You sleep better, you focus more, you're more patient with people, you make better decisions because your mind is clearer. It also helps with long-term things like your emotional resilience, your ability to bounce back after setbacks, and your physical health, like lowering your risk of heart disease or digestive problems. So stress management isn't just a buzzword, it's a daily practice that builds a better relationship with yourself. Now, not all stress feels the same, and that's because it isn't. Let's break it down into 3 types. First is acute stress. This is your body's quick reaction to something immediate, like the nerves you feel before a test or when you hear unexpected bad news. Then there's chronic stress. This is a long-term stress like dealing with constant family tension or financial problems. It doesn't go away quickly, and over time it can really wear you down. And finally, there's eustress. That's the good kind. It's still stress, but it motivates you, like the excitement before performing on stage or working hard for something you care about. Understanding the type of stress you're experiencing is the first step towards figuring out how to handle it. Now let's bring these categories to life with examples. Acute stress might look like your heart pounding when you realize you're late for something important. It's temporary but intense. Eustress can be that rush of energy as you prepare for a performance or a sports match. You're nervous but excited. Chronic stress, on the other hand, is like carrying a backpack of bricks that you can't put down. Maybe you're a caregiver for someone who's ill, or you're under constant academic pressure. Recognizing what type of stress you're dealing with helps you respond in the right way, whether that's grounding yourself in the moment, celebrating the challenge, or seeking deeper support. Now, what's stressing you out? Chances are it falls into one of these common categories. For many, academic pressure is huge. This could be deadlines, grades, the future. Then there's family expectations, which can feel like invisible weights on your shoulder. Social media comparison is another one. It's hard not to feel behind when you're constantly scrolling through curated highlight reels. Financial stress is real as well, and so are health issues, either your own or a loved one's. These stressors often stack up, and that's when it becomes overwhelming. The more aware you are of what triggers your stress, the more power you have to take action before it spirals. Meet Maria. She's usually a strong student, but every time she has a test, she shuts down. The night before her midterm, she scrolls on her phone instead of studying and can't fall asleep. By the next morning, she's exhausted, anxious, and her stomach hurts. This is a classic example of how stress, especially stress, can take over both mentally and physically. Now, what kind of stress specifically is Maria experiencing, and what strategies could help her prepare? Well, the specific type of stress she's facing is acute stress. This is short-term anxiety triggered by an upcoming exam. Now, helpful strategies, she can manage this by taking small but effective steps. Deep breathing can calm physical symptoms. Reframing thoughts like, I've studied, I'm ready, can reduce anxiety. Using the Pomodoro method helps her focus in short bursts without burnout. And cutting down screen time the night before can improve sleep and reduce procrastination. Now, stress doesn't just live in your thoughts. It lives in your body. Think about the last time you were stressed. Did your head hurt? Was your stomach upset? Were your muscles tense? These physical signs are not random. They are your body's alarm saying something needs attention. Ignoring these signals only makes that stress louder. When we begin tuning in to our physical cues, tight shoulders and shallow breathing, low energy, we can intervene earlier and take better care of ourselves. Your body is wise. Listen to it. Now, when we're under stress, our nervous system kicks into survival mode, what's known as the flight, fight, or freeze response. This reaction evolved to protect us from danger. But in modern life, our threats aren't tigers, but more so deadlines, arguments, or uncertainty. If you tend to get angry or snappy when you're overwhelmed, you're probably in fight. If you avoid or procrastinate, that's flight. And if you shut down or zone out, that's freeze. These patterns are normal, but once we recognize which one we default to, we can begin to shift. You can train your body to respond with calm instead of panic. It takes practice, but it's absolutely possible. Now let's dive into practical tools. Stress management isn't one size fits all, so it helps to have a variety of techniques to choose from. First, there are relaxation techniques like deep breathing, meditation, and progressive muscle relaxation. These help calm your nervous system and brings you back to the present moment. Then there are physical strategies, moving your body through walking, stretching, dancing, or exercising. Even a 10-minute walk can release tension and boost your mood. Finally, we have cognitive tools, which involve shifting your mindset. Gratitude journaling helps rewire your brain to focus on the good. Setting realistic goals prevents overwhelming. And reframing negative thoughts gives you more control over your internal dialogue. The more you experiment with these tools, the more confident you'll feel when stress shows up. Let's try a simple technique right now. Breathe in slowly for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. And now breathe out for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This kind of intentional breathing can solve and slow your heart rate and quiet your nervous system. You don't need a yoga mat or a quiet room, just 1 minute wherever you are. Try using this when you feel overwhelmed and notice the difference. Now, when stress hits, we often fall into automatic patterns, but healthy coping strategies are about making intentional choices that support your mental and physical health. Talking to someone you trust can release emotional pressure. Journaling helps you make sense of your feelings. Physical activity, whether it's yoga, walking, or dancing in your room, releases endorphins and reduces cortisol. Engaging in art, music, or anything creative gives your brain a chance to reset. Mindfulness helps you anchor in the present, and things like regular sleep routines, setting boundaries, and asking for support aren't luxuries. They are skills. They remind you that you deserve care, not just productivity. And let's be honest, when we're stressed, it's easy to fall into habits that feel comforting in the short term, but harm us in the long run. Avoiding problems, overeating, spending hours online, bottling up emotions, or isolating ourselves, these are all examples of unhealthy coping. Sometimes we use caffeine, or adults even use alcohol to numb out, but that only delays the discomfort. The goal isn't to shame these behaviors, it is to become more aware. When you can catch yourself reaching for an unhelpful coping mechanism, just pause. Ask yourself, what am I really needing right now? Awareness creates space for healthier choices. Now let's look at another real-life scenario. This is Sam. He's taking honors classes, working 2 jobs, and supporting his family. He's running on very little sleep, and often he finds himself snapping at friends, falling behind in assignments, and feeling completely overwhelmed. Sam isn't just having a rough week, he's stuck in a cycle. This level of nonstop pressure can lead to exhaustion, burnout, and even health problems if not addressed. What kind of stress is Sam facing, and which strategies might help him regain balance? For Sam, the first step towards relief is setting boundaries. He needs to start saying no to extra commitments and blocking out time for the rest. His form of stress consists of chronic stress, long-term pressure from juggling school, work, and home responsibilities. Instead of thinking, I have to do it all, he can remind himself it's okay to ask for help. I deserve rest. It's important for him to reframe his mindset. He also might start with small changes, like creating a sleep routine, taking walking breaks, or using the Pomodoro method to make tasks more manageable. Stress doesn't disappear overnight, but small actions can add up, and those small steps can be the start of a very big shift. One of the hardest but most powerful things that you can do for your mental health is learning to say no. When we say yes to everything, every event, every favor, every responsibility, we end up stretched thin and resentful. Boundaries are not about being selfish, they're about being sustainable. They protect your energy, your time, and your well-being. This week, challenge yourself to say no to just one thing that just doesn't serve you. Maybe it's a social event you're dreading, or an extra task that could wait. You're allowed to prioritize yourself, and you're allowed to rest. Our thoughts shape our emotions, and under stress, our inner critique gets loud. But we can learn to challenge these thoughts. Let's take a few examples. Instead of, I'm terrible at this, try, I'm learning and growth takes time. Instead of, I'll never finish this, say, I'll break it down and take it one step at a time. Reframing is not lying to yourself. It's telling yourself the full truth, including your resilience. When you reframe, you create space for self-compassion and you approach challenges with more clarity and strength. And of course, you don't have to carry everything alone. One of the most effective ways to manage stress is through connection. Whether it's talking to a close friend, reaching out to a mentor, or confiding in a counselor, sharing your experience lightens the emotional load. Spend time with people who energize you, not just those who drain you. And don't be afraid to ask for help. That's not a weakness, it's a skill. Support doesn't solve everything, but it reminds you that you're not navigating hard things in isolation. That alone can bring enormous relief. Now let's talk about screens. Think about how much time you've spent on your phone or your computer each day. How do you feel after scrolling for hours? I assume not the best. So here's a challenge to reset your relationship with technology just for a few days. First, avoid screens for 1 hour before bed. This helps your brain wind down and improve sleep. Second, don't check grades or messages first thing in the morning. Start your day with intention, not anxiety. And third, schedule your screen time instead of letting it run your day. Journal how your mood shifts. You might be surprised. Even a short detox can help you feel calmer, more focused, and more present. And of course, build your own stress toolkit, something you can reach for when life gets heavy. What works for you? Maybe it's a calming playlist, a quiet walk, a friend you can call, or a breathing app like Calm or Insight Timer. Maybe it's just journaling, drawing, or making tea. There's no right or wrong here, just what helps you feel grounded. Write down 3 things you can add to your toolkit right now, and keep that list somewhere visible. This isn't about perfection, it's about support, self-trust, and small habits that help you become back for yourself. Now, before we end, I want to leave you with one final prompt as your exit ticket. What's one small commitment you can make this week to reduce your stress? Maybe you'll breathe for 1 minute before bed. Maybe you'll take a 10-minute walk at lunch. Maybe you'll journal the next time you feel overwhelmed. Whatever it is, write it down, make it real. This is your promise to your future self. You deserve to feel supported, calm, and cared for. And you've already taken the first step by just showing up today.